Now I think I want to place my characters just a little bit differently on the stage. So the thing is that the girl, she's pretty much where she has to be, because once we've animated her, she really can't go anywhere else. Just trust me, if we move her, she's going to get really weird. So she's got to be where she is. So you got to kind of think about that before you start animating. So the direction that she is, so the twist, the movement, it's all got to be how it is when it was animated. Now that being said, that's only because I use the move tool on her pelvis sometimes. I think the pelvis and her chest. And so it's when I move the move tool, use the move tool, that's what limited me from moving around. If it was all just rotates, then I think I could move her anywhere. Okay, so it's a give and take, because on these guys, on the other hand, on these blocky characters, let me go ahead and get to those guys. I can move them wherever I want because they were all rotates. So let's see, where should the wolf go? We'll put him right about here maybe, and he's going to be here, just kind of doing his thing. And what about the kitty cat? Oh, let's see here. Kitty cat also maybe doing its thing right here. And then how about Fred? Let's see here. Fred, we'll just move over a little bit. And he's just going to be in line with the girl there. Okay, so that should be all good. And, all right. Now the next thing will be is a camera. So first thing I wanted to do is I'm going to go T for top, and I was thinking about my stage a little bit, and I think I wanted to expand it because I've got a lot of real estate that I'm not really using. So I'm going to go to the background here, and I'm going to unfreeze it for now. And then I'm also going to go to where it says sand. Now sand is way down here. There it is. And unfreeze that. Okay, I'm going to click on my background. Go to perspective view here. And I'm going to combine it with the sand. So, I've put materials on both these things, but that's going to be okay. Watch what happens. So if I go down here, and I'm going to go to attach, and I'm going to attach the sand right here. It's going to give me a dialog box. The first one is just fine. You just click on that, and then that'll be okay. And all I want to do with my sand here is maybe expand this stage a little bit. So I'm going to use my scale tool. And I think I'm going to scale it a little bit this way, and even a little bit this way. Just making it a little bit bigger for us. There. That should be kind of cool. All right. Yeah, and then it'll just make it a little easier. The more real estate we have when we're using our cameras, the better. I think maybe even moving it over this way a little bit, right? And then over here. Yep, that should be all good. Okay, good enough. So I'm going to click off that. Now let's put in a camera. Okay, so a good place, just like the lights, a good place to put a camera in is in the top viewport. So I've got T for top, and I'm going to go over here to my Create tab, and I'm going to go right over here to the cameras. Okay, I'm going to put in a target camera. I don't know if we've talked about target cameras before. I think we've always put in a physical camera where we just put one in the perspective viewport. This one will use a target camera because the target's kind of nice. So I've clicked on target camera. I'm going to click down. This might be a little bit hard to see. And then I'm just going to stretch it out. It is hard to see because the camera is shown in white and the sand is white. But it's there, trust me. Okay, so let's see if we get a better view of that. So there we go. Now we can see both of them. And both of them are selected. Both the camera, no, the target's not. Here's the target over here. Now both of them are selected. And I can just go ahead and lift that up right there. I'm going to go to my 4 viewports. And I'm going to make this one a camera viewport. And that way I can see what the camera is seeing. I'm also going to go ahead and that stage. There we go, so that I don't see that. Okay, so that's all good. And I can use my camera controls in the same way as I use the controls on the physical camera. You can see over here how my controls are. So here, but back to Alt W here, and we'll make, so this one here is perspective. Okay, and that might be kind of nice. And I might even move those up a little bit to give me a little bit more room there to mess around with. And I definitely could give myself more room here to mess around with. Okay, and so my camera, let's see here. Kind of bad with that sand there, it's hard to see, but here's my camera. And so if I raise it up, I can change the angle on this. And I think I want to come in with kind of a sky shot, you know, because I've got this big old thing here. And you can see here, when I moved that, it stayed focused on the target. Here, maybe up here, we're going to do this. We're going to go from default shading to wireframe so you can see it a little bit better. And so you can see here's the target of the camera, and here's the camera itself. And so, no matter what I do with the camera, it stays focused on that target. And that's what makes them kind of easy and kind of nice to deal with. Okay, so I'm just going to go up, and let's see, maybe out a little bit. Alright, so that's pretty good. Maybe, let's see, maybe just moving that target up a little bit. And I think, you know what I'm going to end up doing? I think I'm going to end up taking all these palm trees and shrinking them down a little bit. Because, you know, we took the time to animate those, and so I want to kind of feature them a little bit. So I'm going to select all those guys and just make them a bit smaller. And then put them back down into the ground because they've raised up a bit. Okay, so that's all good. Okay, so now I've got my camera selected and I've got my auto key now turned on. I'm going to go ahead and animate the camera. So here we go, moving forward a little bit. Maybe keep things even. So I'll go to 100 frames. And at that point, maybe I'll just go ahead and zoom my camera in a little bit. So let's see here if I can get a good shot of it. There's my camera. And there's the gizmo. And I'm just going to zoom in. Let Max catch up a little bit there. So zooming in. And then the target, move that down. Okay, so slowly getting this to where I want it to go. Let me see here. Okay, so the target itself is okay. And then the camera, go down a little bit. And forward a little bit. Let's see here. Make this one top. Okay, that'll be good. A lot easier now. Okay, so zoom in on these guys a bit, and here we're going to make this one also wireframe, and we're going to make this left. Okay, so that gives me good movement this way and good movement up and down, and I can see my camera a little bit better. Okay, so let's see how that's working so far. Well, this is too bad because my computer is running the software that both captures the screen and running Max at the same time, and it's really having a hard time with it. And as I zoom in here, I think what we'll do is I'm going to restart my computer and we'll continue with this tutorial here in just a moment. Alrighty, well, I'm back. Continuing to work with our camera, I'm going to go Alt-W and see how that works for me. So moving this forward. Let me see, did I see that that one palm got in the way? No, that's not too bad. And once again, you've got to excuse the thing not working out so great here. Okay, and as we go forward, let's move it to about 300 here. My poor little computer can't keep up with it. And I think I'll just use some of the camera controls right here. And, all right, let's just pan over this way a little bit and rotate around this way a little bit. Okay, and then moving forward, we'll go ahead and like I say, moving forward, we're going to go ahead and move that. And what we can do here, watch this. I'll do sort of a faux cut. Now, when we're doing our long final project, we'll do a lot of small scenes and then put them into Premiere for editing. But for this, we can just do kind of a fake. So right now, what I'll do is I'll move my camera just a little bit. So I have a keyframe set right here. Okay, that's just fine. And then what I'll do is on the very next frame, I can go ahead and maybe, let's see, maybe rotate it around a lot this way. Okay, so here, and looks like we're looking at the back of the wall, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the wall. Okay, and so we've got a whole different point of view and a lot closer, and maybe out just a little, oh, not too much. Oh, and so if I want to see more of that, I can change the angle on the lens. There. And that way the camera has stayed the same. I've just changed the angle on that a little bit. Okay, and so that's all good. And so we'll move forward a little bit. And maybe to about 750. Okay, and down here, and maybe, let's see, how should we rotate this? Maybe rotating it a little bit more like that. No, we don't want to go through the building. So what we'll do is we're going to dolly the camera forward. And then that's spun it around like that. Oh, I wonder how that's going to look. Well, we'll see. But now, watch out for this because it's sort of giving it kind of a crazy perspective view as I do that. And continue to dolly this back a little bit. So let's see, what's that going to end up looking like? So it's kind of cool. Does that cut through? It gives me a couple of different cuts. So here, I think I'll go ahead and make it go out a little bit. I haven't been really moving the camera to the music. That would probably be a good idea. Here, let's take a look at the graph editor. And just like before, I'm going to zoom in on this. There's my waveform. So maybe I'll go ahead and move this so that I can go more with the beat right here. And let's see, where are we at here? Right about here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to go to, we'll hold it for about here, and then give that camera just a little bit of a move in. No, a move out. That's what we'll do. Move out, and how about also, I'm going to grab Alt W here, grab that camera and go up a little bit. There, I like that. And then at the very end, we'll go ahead and dolly that camera forward. And down and forward, and maybe rotate it just a little bit, you know, keeping it interesting. Well, my computer wasn't able to render it on the fly, so what we'll do is we'll just go for it. Okay, we're going to go to Render Setup and make sure that you've got your active segments chosen. And we had it at 480 by 270 before. Make sure that you're at this 1280 by 720. Make sure that that is checked. Go on down. You want to make sure that you are saving it as a file. Let's go to the files and see where we're saving it. So I want to go to my libraries, here, the T drive, and to art. Remember, yours is going to look a little different than mine. And then to your period. And in Project 5, we should see a folder that says Project 5 My Dancing Final. And so here we go. I'm just going to add that final to the end of that, and we're all good. Now make sure the type, see, I've got mine set as a JPEG because at some point or another I had saved a picture, right? So I want to be careful that I change it, very, very careful. I change it to AVI. Otherwise, you're going to get just a ton of JPEGs in here, and we don't want that. Nobody wants that. Okay, now the other thing, and I'm going to push save. So let's see. Checking my Kodak. Yes, the JPEG. Okay. And so then the other thing, though, is that when you render this, this might take quite a while to render. So what you want to do is you don't want to render except at the very beginning of the period. So get everything all done, be ready to go, maybe move on to your, and render, right? So if you're at the beginning of the period, make sure that it's all ready to go, render it. That's good. And in the meantime, then you can move to a different computer and continue to work on the next project, on the actual final project, for instance. But if it's at the end of the period, don't even try to render, because these things are going to take a while because you've got a lot of different motion. It's a long sequence, relatively speaking, because when we do our final, you won't be doing long 30-second spots. Most things will only be a few seconds long, but then we'll put them together in Premiere. And so anyways, yeah, just don't start rendering at the end of the period, whatever you do. Okay, so anyways, but with that, I am going to start rendering here. So here we go. So here's what mine ended up looking like.